Kia ora and welcome along to the Severe Weather Update for today, Thursday the 18th of August. It has been a very wet couple of days. We've got more to come as we head in towards Thursday and also through towards Friday and even that first part of Saturday as well. So it's definitely worth keeping up to date with the latest forecasts and also those watches and warnings. Let's start things off by taking a look at the satellite pictures and the radars from this morning. You can see we've had a steady stream of wet weather feeding in from the north and west, not just across the South Island, but also up towards those northern parts of the North Island as well. We've had plenty of rainfall through there, and we've got more to come as we head through the next few days as well. Let's look back at the last 24 hours and you can see how much rain we had on Wednesday, picking out those areas on those northern parts of the South Island, places like the ranges of Tasman District, up in towards places like Tongariro National Park and Mount Taranaki as well on the North Island. We've had a huge amount of rainfall already and we've got more to come as we head through the next few days. But here are some of the totals we've got across that northern part of the South Island, as much as 600 millimetres in some of those ranges across those western parts of the Tasman District. But even at lower levels, places like Nelson Airport, a good 100 odd millimetres of rainfall through there in the last few days. This is from midday on Tuesday through to about 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. It's worth bearing in mind that the normal August rainfall total for Nelson is around about 80 millimetres. So that's a huge amount of rainfall to come through there. And up in the ranges out towards the east, we've had more rain and we've got more of that to come as we go through the rest of today, Thursday, and also through into the next couple of days as well. So definitely keep a close eye on those forecast charts. So as we head through the rest of today, that low pressure continues to feed in and it brings more wet weather across the likes of, say, Western, Bullard, Nelson, Tasman, and on the North Island, many spots on that western side of the country. You'll see as we head through the night time, the rain clears away from the south over time, but it pushes back in as we head through in towards Friday and Saturday. So we've got another chance of getting more wet weather as we head towards Friday as well. So we are going to find that rain piles back up in towards pretty much those places that have already got a lot of rainfall. So places like Western, those ranges of the western parts of the Tasman District, those ranges out towards the east of Nelson, those western parts of Marlborough. We've got more to come through there, say places like the Bryant Ranges and the Richmond Ranges. And we've got more wet weather on the North Island as well. You can see that east-west split with a lot of that rainfall on that western side. And we've got some heavy rain warnings across much of that western side of the North Island as well. So we've got plenty to talk about over the next few days. Let's start off with those red warnings we've got across places like Nelson. As we go through the rest of today, through to around about 11 o'clock, we've got the warning out. We are going to find another 150, 200 millimetres of rainfall about the ranges. And that's a similar kind of value we'll see in these orange areas as well. So we've got more rainfall to come through there. So we have got that to come as we go through the daytime today. That's Thursday into the nighttime and those early parts of Friday morning. The rain moves away towards the north for a time, but it comes back towards us. We've got more heavy rain coming back on Friday, and that's going to bring similar kind of values, 140 to 190 millimetres of rainfall possible about the ranges. Again, similar kind of values out through the orange warning areas and out towards those western side, we could find a touch more as well. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on those forecasts as we go through the rest of today and through towards Friday as well. On that western coast, places like Buller, again, we've got more rain as we go through the daytime today, 70 to 100 millimetres of rainfall up about the ranges, a lesser amount down towards the coast, but still a substantial amount of rainfall. And again, as that rain comes back towards us as we head in towards Friday, another fair amount of rainfall coming through there, up to about 130 millimetres of rainfall about the ranges. That's going to feed into our rivers and that could cause some extra issues as well. Similarly, as we head down towards Westland, we could find some heavy rainfall, not just in terms of prolonged rain, but also some thunderstorms in those areas, say south of Ross, as we head through this afternoon and evening. It clears away for a time, but then comes back towards us as we head in towards Friday, particularly north of the glaciers, and we've got more rainfall coming through there as we head through in towards that Friday, from noon on Friday to about noon on Saturday. Another fair amount of rain, fairly substantial, 80 to 120 millimetres of rainfall up about the ranges on top of what we've already seen. So there is plenty happening through there, and that's going to have a big impact. We've already seen issues like dangerous river conditions. We've seen plenty of flooding, and we've seen plenty of slips as well. We've got more of that to come as we head through the next few days, and that's going to make problems with travel and also issues as we go through the next couple of days as well. So it's definitely worth keeping up to date, not just with the forecast, but also with your local authorities and with civil defence as well. But it's not just those rainfall warnings across the South Island. We've also got plenty of warnings across the North Island as well. If we have a look at those, we've got warnings up from, say, Northland and Auckland, right the way down in towards the Taranaki district and Mount Taranaki, down in the far southern parts of the North Island as well. Now, rainfall totals not as much as we'll see on the South Island, but still a fairly substantial amount. We've already seen about 150 millimetres in parts of Northland, and we could find similar values as we head through towards the end of the day into those early hours of Friday morning. Places like, say, Auckland, 60 to 90 millimetres as we head through the rest of the warning period through to those early parts of Friday morning. Not as much, but still enough to come through, and still plenty of wet weather there. Similarly, we're going to find around about 100 odd millimetres or so in places like the Bay of Plenty, down towards Waikato, Waitomo, Taranaki. Mount Taranaki itself, much more, a good couple of 100 millimetres of rainfall there on top of what you've already seen. So it's definitely worth keeping up to date with the latest forecast. You can find much more information about these watches and warnings on the Met Service website. There's plenty happening, so please do keep up with all of that as we go through in towards those early parts of Friday morning. But it's not just the wet weather. Along with these areas of low pressures, we're going to find stronger winds as well, stronger northeasterly winds. So we've also got warnings out for those, particularly for places like Northland. That's where we're going to find some of the strongest winds, the winds reaching gale force, even severe gale in the most exposed areas. Gusts 120 kilometres per hour in the most exposed areas. Places like Auckland, Great Barrier Island could find gusts 90 kilometres per hour. And we've also got some stronger winds down towards the likes of Nelson, Buller, Tasman. So it's not just the wet weather, you've got those winds to watch out for as well. Again, pretty windy through the rest of the daytime today. For many of us, it should ease away as we head through and towards the end of the day and those early parts of Thursday nighttime. But for those southern parts of the North Island, could find those stronger winds last right the way through in towards the early part of Friday morning. So please keep up to date with the latest watches, warnings and forecasts, and you can find all that information and much more at metservice.com.